Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
It's got Star Trek. Episode 40. Lower Decks, Season 1, Episode 4, Moist Vessel.
If we can get down to the environmental controls, there might be a way to reverse this.
Are you sure that's the best rock for this?
What? Yes, it's fine. It's a rock.
Look, I'm just saying, I think you should use the shale over there.
Mom, it is the same thing. Just leave me alone.
It's just maybe you'd want one with more of a point.
Oh my God! Why do you have to second guess every choice I make?
To help you, Beckett. What am I supposed to do?
Right? You just have to be in
stand by and let
charge.
you keep
What
making
I
a
would prefer
mistake?
is if you
Really?
would just
Really?
let
Would
me
you prefer
do
that?
me. There. See? The rock was fine.
Yeah, well, we could have gotten here faster.
All right, so here we are, episode 40 of the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. We'll get started in a second. Tonight we're joined by special guest Jimmy, who's been on the program before. He's our correspondent from Philadelphia.
Kill these nuts.
And given that this podcast is normally hosted by three upperish middle-class white people, we thought it would be appropriate to invite a fourth. So that's why
yet another.
With
That's why
another
Jimmy's-
Anglo background.
Jimmy's joining us again. All right, so we're going to get
Thanks
started
for
now.
having me.
Traditionally, we start the episode with some sort of humorous anecdote. Isn't that what we do? Do we do that?
I thought we already did that.
Did we do that?
I think we just did that.
All right,
we?
we might have already done that.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah,
Was it?
I mean, I normally look to Dan to come up with some.
Moist vessel. There was
moist vessel.
There was no away mission here on this episode.
I
that-
did not think of that.
So that
Didn't
breaks
need
that.
one.
So there's no they're not sticking to any kind of
Well,
pattern.
maybe that's why the yawning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that yawning was freaking me out.
More and more. It just kept getting like bigger and bigger, and she was just like, oh.
When I first heard it, I thought there was some kind of monster behind me in the room. I was like, "What the fuck was that?"
You got a good stereo system.
Yeah, right? Yeah, dude.
You got a
How
good
loud
hi-
were you?
You got a good hi-fi.
There were just some shelf speakers that were behind me, and which is normally fine. But like when it's a crazy noise like that, every once in a while it pushes through. And then after a while, her yawning started to like. I was like, that sounds really unsatisfying, like a really unsatisfying yawn. She's like, "Ah!"
That's the
Like I'm
work.
trying to
That's the
hold it
work
back.
yawn. That's the work yawn.
Yeah.
The unsatisfying
Yeah.
where you can't, where even in her case in this teaser where she was being fairly blatant about it, it's still a work yawn. It's not as good as a
work
home yawn.
Yeah, home yawn. Home yawn. I would say that a bad yawn is for me is worse than a bad sneeze.
Oh,
A bad
it's-
sneeze
oh.
is just a letdown, but a bad yawn is just
Actually-
like I feel like I can't breathe anymore.
A
or
bad
something. I
yawn.
don't know.
No,
Not
a
really,
bad
but-
yawn is as I get older, it becomes way more concerning because it
Yeah.
used to just be frustrating. Because like, oh, I can't quite get that. I can't complete the yawn.
You can't turn that engine over.
But and now in my 40. I'm 40 years old.
40.
40 years old.
40. More like Borty.
When I get that not being able to yawn thing, I'm like, oh my god, do I have a problem in my diaphragm?
Yeah. Do I've got all sorts of things in
My
my
lungs?
chest?
Do I have COVID? What's happening? Shortness? Is this shortness of breath?
You have diminished lung capacity.
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
Chronologically diminished
Oh
lung.
man, that freaks me out.
Well, anyway,
We're
so
all dying.
moist vessel.
Underplayed title. Well,
Moist.
I mean, underused title. Overplayed,
Moist.
maybe. Like, because there was not a whole lot of them. I get it. It was in reference to the elemental fluid that transforms inert matter into living
Yeah.
ecosystem. Which I was hoping. It's not. It's fine. It's neither here nor there. But I was kind of hoping that one of the ships would turn into like a crazy monster ship.
Yeah,
at one
yeah,
point.
that would've
Because
been
one
cool.
That would've been cool.
But they went literal ecosystem, I guess, where it's like a biodome. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But
I think that
It was still fun.
yeah, actually, I enjoyed this week's better than last week. I think
this episode, I was really
Yeah.
entertained by this episode.
This
First,
one was fun.
Had some funnier bits.
it did have a lot of
Get
funny
some
bits.
lobster.
I think it's the most Star Trek story they've told so far.
Yeah.
And specifically, it's kind of the most TAS, the animated series style, because, it really gave me vibes of that.
that's funny that you mentioned that because I was thinking
It's
that
hilarious
too.
that I
Because
mentioned that.
it's just I'm going to die later.
When the goo was going over the ship, I was thinking TAS.
Yeah.
and so what?
The way it looked.
And I actually was thinking around near the first part of the episode. I was thinking comparing it to TS, and I was like, well, TAS has really these cool matte, is that what they're called? Matte drawings or whatever? The backgrounds, basically.
Yeah.
The awesome backgrounds that look fantastical and amazing and awesome in TAS. And this one doesn't have that as much, but of course the animation is higher quality, so it puts across a message in a different way. But like, that's probably why I was thinking about that, because this episode, there was so much goo and colors and things.
I think the
happening.
main difference between this and the animated
goo.
series from the 70s is you could have seen almost the same plot. I think the primary difference would be that the animated
voice
series,
acting.
the voice, the animated
That would be the
series,
biggest difference.
the different characters, the different era, the female yeoman.
Yes. Yes.
No, it's that.
But it's very
the
dry,
animated series did less A/B plots. So in this series, it is a shorter episode length, but they're still sticking to the A/B plot structure
Yep.
more so than the animated series. On the animated series, more of this story would have been on the ancient ship.
Yes.
There would have been
Yeah.
more
Yes.
like wandering around
Yeah,
the ship and
totally.
seeing like some weird freaky shit.
Yep,
Totally.
Yep.
Would have been nice drawings and cool colors.
Yeah,
and stuff.
right?
Yeah.
Like the first episode of the
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
When it's the freaky ship, bug ship.
Yeah, that
But-
is pretty nuts.
Yeah, Mariner was kind of being, after at a certain point, I was like, okay, she's being a little overboard with her jerkiness. Like, not a criticism of
It's
the.
the yawn, man.
It's- yeah,
it
it's not-
begins with the yawn.
it's not
It
a-
ends with the yawn. It's brilliant.
It's not a criticism of the writing. It's more just like, man, she's being kind of a jerk. They're trying to explain how to do this mission,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
whether that Durango guy who had a weird turn at the end that you didn't get any kind of. They didn't provide. Maybe there's cut lines or something that explains his background and why he suddenly decided
He's a shit captain.
just be
I
like-
want to be this one in charge.
yeah, it's like, I don't want to complete this mission. I want to be in a position to look like I'm the captain of this
Right.
kind it's like, when did that happen? They kind of intimated.
It happened really quickly.
They hint at some sort of rivalry between
Yeah.
Captain Freeman and Captain Durango. And I like the idea of a Tellarite being named Durango for some reason.
Durango.
That was kind of weird. Yeah.
They hinted that, but I don't think it was fully developed. I agree. I think there could have been a few things early on to make it more clear that Captain Freeman, one of the reasons she wants to do a good job on this particular mission is to show up Captain Durango, perhaps.
Right,
Yeah.
because everyone thinks he's boring and they
Yeah.
know that. And it's like, okay, we got to work with him.
Yeah, even Freeman relented when Mariner was like, he's so boring. She's like, I know he's boring, but like, you can't be like that. So
He was like,
she
he's been boring for 15 years.
Yeah, right. That was great. He's been boring for 15 years. You just have to deal with it.
I like museums and dust and old gates. Old gates.
Old
But
gates.
the what little we saw of that ancient generation ship was pretty cool. What was it? It was called I can't remember.
I can't
They were
guess
calling
they-
it Generation
Gen-
Ship.
Generation
Generation
ship.
But it's
ship.
like the Genesis thing.
Yes,
it would
it
it's-
had smacks of
Yeah.
that.
Genesis does.
Like when they were talking about it, I was like, oh, it's kind
Genesis
of like
device.
Genesis.
can't
Yeah.
do this on its
Liquid-
Enterprise.
definitely
liquid
a
Genesis.
I was
nod
like,
to that.
building from dead matter to life. I was like,
Yeah.
give me what is
You've got
Genesis?
Liquid Schwartz and you've got Liquid Genesis.
Liquid Schwartz.
Liquid Schwartz.
So there is actually an article on Sci-Fi Wire that makes a comparison that says that there's, first of all, been a lot of references to Khan throughout the series, or at least a handful. And apparently they were saying that this one had sort of an ongoing Khan thing having to do with...
Sort of, yeah. The
having
space
to-
seed.
Her mom was named Carol or something.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then
Carol Marcus.
Yeah, she
Carol
calls her
Marcus
Carol.
from the Wrath of Khan. She calls her
Yeah,
Carol.
that's
so
Kirk's wife.
That was over. That was over.
Yeah.
That was over my head for sure. But
Carol Marcus.
I mean, that's pretty.
is the one that
It's almost hard to
develops
say that's a
Genesis.
reference. I mean, Carol
Yeah.
is a common name.
They did
Yeah.
have those
Right.
cryogenic peeps on that
Yes.
Right.
on that colony ship too.
Yeah, they did.
That
So
was
that
similar
was
to the
beginning.
Botany
That was
Bay.
very space.
Yeah, and there's also that weird TNG where they find those cryogenic people and they bring them back to
Yeah,
life.
the people from the 1980s.
Yeah,
Oh man.
there's like that cowboy guy and some
Stay
other
back
guy.
in the
and then there was the one that they
Fucking
didn't
Ronald
bring back
Reagan.
from time, but they might as well have. They went to the planet and got the Irish peasants.
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh, that's weird.
drunken Irish peasants or something. And
Yes.
It wasn't even back in time. It was just
the-
some planet where they happen to live now.
It was just 1980s writers were saying, like, how can we be racist against Irish people? It's getting really difficult to be racist
Right.
against Irish
It's
people.
been so long since
Lady
anybody's
Gregory.
been racist.
Let's find a way to do it, an efficient way to do it.
No Irish.
We'll give them
Yeah.
a bunch of livestock and make them act like idiots.
this line from the article basically says, it says the best...
What a drunk Irishman.
The best joke in Moist Vessel is essentially one long reference to the Wrath of Khan, and it all clicks together with the utterance of one word, and I think that's Carol. I don't know. Yeah, it might be kind of...
The best joke is
that could
the
be reaching
censors
for it,
joke.
but the censor.
That's the best joke.
The censors joke
Censors.
at the end with the admiral. When the admiral,
Don't you like to have fun?
What is it? The admiral says, "I've got to get back to the ship because there's apparently something wrong with the sensors."
Yeah, right.
Censors.
I was rolling laughing.
Yeah,
the
that-
entire
I know.
time.
Yeah, Arya actually
Because I always
was
laugh
chuckling.
when they say it on the
was
show, and it's
funny.
like everybody's saying censors.
Yeah.
Do they know they're
Censors.
saying like it started with like Spock would
Yeah,
say censors.
there was definitely
Yeah.
a Spock thing.
and then sometimes people would say it here and there, and then like even people on TNG would say it, like especially Data, and you're like, well, Data's not a Vulcan, but he's just a weird android.
Jordy
he's
would
an
say it
android.
sometimes too, but not always.
yeah,
Not
it was-
always.
But it's just weird how it would just pop up, and it's like, did he say censors? Like even Picard would say shit like that. It's like, why is he talking like that?
Yeah, and that's it's a pretty funny and clever reference to the show. They also had, and I don't know if this was a reference, but it reminded me of Star Trek when the dude was ascending, and she was like, "How long is this gonna take?" And it's like, yeah, how long? Shouldn't it just kind of be like blip and it happens?
everywhere,
There shouldn't be all
right.
these crazy effects, but
Yeah.
that was
The koala.
funny.
Oh, and by the way,
Koala bear.
Why is he smiling?
Why is he smiling?
that was who? Lieutenant, I think. Was it Lieutenant or?
It was the Tendi.
It was Haley Joel Osment.
It was Haley Joel
really?
Osment was
That's
the voice
funny.
of O'Connor.
Oh, really?
Okay, that's,
Yeah, I forget which rank
That
he
guy
was.
has like
That's funny.
consonants popping up in his name in weird
Yeah, he
spots.
does.
Yeah, Osment.
Haley Joel Osment.
He's funny, but he's been showing up so many places. He was on What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah,
this
the first
year.
episode of season 2.
He was on
Silicon
the
Valley a couple seasons.
Silicon
Yeah, he
Valley.
was.
He was on The Boys.
Right.
The Boys. He was really
Okay.
good in The Boys in his role there. He was also on like I think it was season either 10 or 11 of X-Files. You know, one of the recent X-Files seasons. He was on there.
I see dead people.
Yeah, it's, I think it's kind of. He also shows up on
Yeah,
Comedy
totally.
Bang Bang a lot. I like
He's a
I
character.
like seeing Haley Joel Osment do well because I just get the impression his life was pretty miserable for a while
Yeah,
after
right?
Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
And he's a great actor, and he's particularly
Have you
good
been
at
to
this
that
comedy.
restaurant where they filmed some of that movie in Philadelphia? Isn't that like a famous restaurant in Philadelphia?
Oh, what in Sixth Sense?
Yeah.
Shit, man. I don't know.
Because they also do some like Always Sunny in that same restaurant.
I wonder.
Oh,
How,
what restaurant is it?
I don't
have
know.
no
I don't
idea.
know. I don't know what it's called, but
I
know I've seen it.
I wonder how Jake Lloyd, young Annie,
know.
I wonder how he's doing.
Oh,
how
dude, he hates.
Yeah.
he got arrested. I mean, the poor dude.
Oh,
that dude
guy.
is
Yeah.
so fucked up.
So Osmond probably wasn't doing as bad as him,
No.
but still,
No.
Osmond, yeah.
fared much better, I think.
yes, he did. Yes,
Yeah.
he's a lot more well adjusted.
Yeah, he was older.
About
when
that
he
Hayden
filmed his
Christensen.
role.
What happened to that guy?
He's still popping
He's still
around.
doing stuff.
Wasn't he in Looper or was that someone else?
That was
Jumper.
Jumper. Oh, it was Jumper.
Jumper.
Oh, Looper was that kid from Third Rock from the
yeah,
Sun.
Yeah. That's the other kid.
from
Gordon,
Third.
That kid.
Gordon Levitt.
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a very
Levitt.
popular
Yeah, he's cool.
actor.
That's all I could think of. Is that kid
No, he was in Third
with
Rock
the long
from
hair?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
in
yeah.
Inception?
Inception. He's in that.
He was?
Yeah, he was in
Yeah.
that.
No, that was
Totally.
Leo DiCaprio.
But he
As-
was
as
Joseph
well.
Gordon-Levitt. He
He
was
was
also in that.
He had that top, and that's how you knew whether you were in a
Joseph
dream or not.
Gordon-Levitt. Levitt also played
Levitate.
Proto Robin.
Right.
In
Dark Knight Rises.
Rises.
Proto Robin. Proto Robin.
Maybe it's under my
Proto
real
Robin.
name, Robin.
I am a Proto
But yeah,
Robin.
it was cool to see Haley Joel Osment. I was like, I recognize that voice, but I had to look it up to see exactly who
Okay.
it was.
And he's a
Right
lieutenant
on.
junior grade.
There you go.
Because he's got a
Pip in a black pip.
a pip and
An
a
empty
circle.
pip.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and there's the whole
You don't see that too often on the show. You always see like the full lieutenants or the ensigns.
Right.
there's the whole joke of the
Is
guy
it
who's
lower decks?
about to ascend is suddenly like really stressed out all the time.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, but I mean, it turned out
It's my thing, man.
It turned out it's because he just wasn't really doing it for real, and so Tendi was funny because she talks about how she's really needs people to like her, so she's like really overbearing about that. And then when he says that they have this thing in common, she's like, "We're best friends now." It's like really
I'm gonna die with my best friend.
Yeah,
And they end up making out.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
I thought there were some very interesting things with this
that.
particular storyline.
You like Mariner's like kind of half open shirt and let's see a little.
Yeah. Well, it's like in the last
I was like,
episode.
what? Yeah, I mean, she's been. I was like, oh man, and
I wanna see
you
more
were like
Boimler
on
naked.
like social media. You're
Boimler?
like, Rule 34. It's like, oh man.
Oh, yeah.
Naturally oiled up Ransom.
Yeah, Ransom is very sexy with her shirt
Ransom.
off.
There you go.
But in that storyline
Jerry
with
O'Connell?
Tendi
Sexy
and
man.
O'Connor,
He's a
what was
sexy
interesting about it was that Tendi Tendi is an Orion, and they have not yet really addressed that. But if you are a Star Trek fan, you know that the stereotype, the tradition of the Orion women is the quote-unquote slave women.
The Orion Syndicate.
Sex slaves.
Sex
and then the
slaves.
Orion Syndicate. And there was this really, I mean, it's a problematic episode of Enterprise where they have this whole Orion's girls coming in and are using hormones somehow, or all the men are going crazy.
Sounds
It's it's an episode you're watching and you're kind of having fun, and then you kind of
you're
think
like,
twice
oh,
about it, and
no.
you're like, ooh,
Oh,
this
no.
is not
Hasn't aged well.
This is
These
not
Orions
aged
got
well.
trafficked in here.
But
Oh,
they haven't
that's
really
not
addressed that with Tendi yet, and I'm wondering if. And I've respected the fact that Tendi is not shown as some sort of sex queen or anything
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
that's
like,
good.
She's an awesome
She's an
young
independent-
nerd, smart woman, right?
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if they'll presumably play around with the
She plays
Orion
the drums.
culture at some
Yeah,
point.
That's cool. She's independent.
This episode really showed her to be like she needs approval from people, and
Yeah.
it's not approval from a boss necessarily or whatever. She wants approval from everyone she
Everyone.
meets, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious if that's going to be a function of like her culture somehow, or her psychology
Right.
from being an Orion, if they're going to do anything with that.
It makes you wonder. yeah.
Right.
Because it would sort of make sense if
Right,
you know,
because he was like, some people are talking. It's like, not everyone likes you. And she's like, who?
Yeah.
She's
I like how
very
they- I
obsessive.
like how
I
they-
like,
Like twisting his
I like
legs
that.
or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like how
she's
the-
like, who doesn't like me?
The last shot was her like with
Yeah.
Rutherford's
Rutherford's
arm.
arm all twisted back. That was pretty awesome. I keep
but-
wanting to call him Ruffalo.
Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo.
But
Sexy Hulk.
I just in blue cheese, Roquefort, Rutherford.
you can
Roquefort,
presume
Rorschach.
that in Orion society, or at least traditional stereotypical Orion society, that if you're a woman, something you would be taught is that your worth is directly related to how many people are attracted to you, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You could interpret it that way. So I would be curious.
okay.
I'm
There
very
you
interested
go.
to see if they do more with that and explore her culture a little bit, and
That's
some of the problematic
excellent.
aspects of her culture.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, they. Do you think that each episode so far has explored characters? I mean, other than the pilot, which is just just tells you what they're all about.
Expository and introductory.
Yeah. So, would you say that this was like a really exploratory episode on Tendi, though? Because they have the one, I guess the one where they went to the planet with Ransom and Mariner, and they sort of had that moment where you learn a little bit more about them. You also learn about Mariner and her mom a little bit more in this one too.
That's kind of
So
It's
Interesting.
probably more exploratory for them.
Yeah,
than it
I
is
think
for,
so.
For Tendi.
right. Because
Well,
eventually they're breaking down and they're
Tendi's
like,
just sort of acting
mom
more, like,
and
But I
more
mean-
ridiculous
daughter.
and over the top.
I mean,
kinda.
yeah, totally.
But we're still
But I mean,
learning
like
about her.
the
in that
audience,
you're
episode.
still learning.
as the
Still
audience, I
learning,
mean,
yeah.
though, like, yeah. So, I wonder when they'll start, if they'll ever go like serious hardcore into a character. Like there was a Discovery episode that there was a certain character we didn't see much of, and then there was an episode where they went super into that character. So I guess they have 23 minutes or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah,
They
there's
don't
only
know-
so much they can put in there.
Right.
But for me, this was a lot of character development for Tendi, even though it was focused on
Yes.
a specific aspect of her personality. I mean, we now know more concretely she really desires and almost requires people's approval and
Yes.
attention,
Yeah.
positive attention.
Everyone's got to like
yeah,
her.
that is a big sort
Right.
of, that did reveal something new about her
And
personality.
in an almost like Leslie Knope-ish
Obsessive.
style way, she's willing to do stuff.
She's got notebooks.
She's selfish about it, right? She was
Yeah.
selfish about her need to
To-
get O'Connor. I think it was O'Connor, right? To like her, right?
Right. Yeah.
She was.
Yeah.
It didn't matter about his feelings,
Right. No, it's all about her.
She gave him that weird metronome and
And he
just
smashed it. Yeah. He was just like, fuck,
It's like
you're
I don't want
metronome."
to see you anymore.
So-
Right. He's like, you suck.
Earlier, before we started recording, I was looking up. So that metronome, it was a Hyberian metronome, and I'm like, what the heck?
Word. Okay,
What
I
the
could never
heck?
catch what it was called. Yeah.
That's
I was
awesome.
Like, I was like, what the heck is a Hyberian metronome? So I looked it up, and the only thing I really came across was I stumbled across this PDF document called Federation Ship Recognition Manual 2385 edition.
Sweet.
It's 204 pages.
I love that it's only available in
204.
PDF.
Yeah. And so there's one reference to Hyberian, and all it says, historical notes, Defiant, there's a Defiant destroyed by Hyberian terrorists at Starbase 13 on stardate 41303. The Defiant. So maybe that was a DS9 thing, I guess, maybe.
Well, it could also be an original series. There was a Defiant on the original series.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's a pretty obscure reference, because I didn't search amazingly.
I mean, it's
But
obscure.
like-
it's
but like,
obscure enough that
if
we
the-
don't even have a conclusive answer to it even with the power of the internet.
Yeah, and the fact that the first thing I came across is this 204-page like technical manual on the.
By next week, I think you should read the entire manual.
And you're gonna have some lobster
See if
mac,
there's any other clues.
cheese,
Lobster mac.
that truffle stuff on
Oh, it
top.
was like the
With the baked bread.
breaded top.
Baked bread
yeah.
on
Bread
top.
bread.
With the big
Macaroni
bread
and cheese
on
with a
top.
breaded top.
He was like,
Want that
they get
lobster?
gnocchi and
Want that-
fritters.
Yeah, gnocchi and fritters. I
Fritters.
love that.
I love fritters. Fritters are
Fritters.
awesome. Is because it's like, what's a fritter? It's anything that's
Anything
fried and
fried.
delicious, and
Yeah,
it's
right.
fancy and it's fun. You know?
What do you think about this introducing this concept? It may not be the first time it's introduced, but probably the first time we've really paid attention to this concept of different levels of staff having access to not only different parts of the ship and different systems, but actually different programs in the.
There was like the Discovery where Saru's eating those blueberries, and he's offering them to Michael Burnham, and she's like, "Oh, these blueberries taste better than what we have in prison." And he's like, "That doesn't make any sense." It's like, well, maybe it does. Like, maybe they got different replicators.
Yeah.
They use like a cheaper
The
program.
cheaper
Which doesn't really make any
prisoners
sense.
get
I
to eat,
guess
like, ash.
one that maybe it requires less energy or something. Maybe the lower decks
Yeah.
people, the programs are simpler. Like the food nutrient matrix is simpler, which requires less energy.
Yeah.
So that
you're
reduces
still
the
getting
pull
the
on the-
blueberry, but it doesn't have that extra sparkle to it.
That sucks.
Just kind of a mushy.
yeah.
mushy
No, that's no good.
Speaking of infinite energy,
Yeah, no, it's not good.
why are the saucer portions?
berry.
Why are the
no
saucer?
good.
Why are the saucer portions always so separate from the warp nacelles? Is it just because the warp nacelles are that fucked up? Like they can't envelop them and shit. They always have to be exposed. And the I was looking at the
Federation
Federation.
Federation architecture.
Yeah.
Because other spacefaring cultures build their ships with the warp nacelles sort of like all built
Yeah,
in.
They
see,
got
so-
normal looking shit.
Right, and so the
Or like a shuttlecraft.
The California's got that whole California. The California has that whole
The Cerritos.
the Cerritos.
It's
You're
a
right.
California class.
Cerritos.
So
It
it was
has-
the Merced.
It had the weird STEMmy kind of chair looking, like orthopedic chair looking
They're
thing.
both. Those are both towns
And so-
in California.
It's just like
Spaceballs.
it's like an interesting design decision that looks cool. I don't know. It seems like they could utilize more space, but you know, it's not a big deal. Who cares, right?
I was initially thinking about.
You're awesome, man.
I was
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
I was briefly annoyed that
was
Captain
really entertaining.
Durango's ship was also a California class. Because I'm thinking
California.
this is an animated show. It's kind of the same. People had the same criticism of the season finale of Picard. Won't give any spoilers, but you see some Federation ships and they're all basically the same
Oh
Federation
yeah,
ships.
yeah.
And so I had a twinge of that, but then getting into the story, I realized that, well, part of it is that we're supposed to imply this pre-existing sort of competitive nature between Captain Freeman and Captain Durango. So it kind of makes sense, actually, that they would be at the exact same level in their career, on the exact same type of ship in their
he
career.
was super insecure.
Yes, he was.
And so was Captain Freeman. I mean,
she is too.
Yeah.
she is. It's very interesting to see because.
But it didn't. She never really made any moves that were simply so they'd look good. There was the questionable decision about overworking her employees, but she was just trying to get better results, and she lost track of what's important.
Yeah.
But for this one, he straight up
Sounds like
compromised
he's
the
learning.
mission,
Yeah,
saying like, no,
he was the fault.
yeah, because he wasn't like
He
this
was
is.
like, I need to be in charge.
Yeah, he wasn't even like this is the best decision. He was like, this is what's going to make us look like we're in charge. And so
yeah.
they double tractored like that section and the whole.
Yeah, and it
frickin-
fucked it all up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
Selfishness. Yeah,
I'm
for
sure there will be people out there who will
people.
Be people.
Not bee people.
Bitty, bitty, bitty.
The Tamarian bees. We'll get to that.
yeah.
There will be people out there who think that it's silly to have Starfleet captains sort of act like this. But the problem is, first of all, we know this
That's
happens in
true.
the actual military.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
So if you're saying it's not realistic, no, it is.
No, it is totally realistic.
And we've seen this repeatedly in Star Trek, where you have captains, lots of captains, who make poor decisions, not necessarily catastrophic, or they might be not that amazingly poor decision, but it results in a catastrophe here, because you can see what he did was petty and childish.
Right.
But it wasn't overtly, he wasn't doing some suicide run or something. He just he tried to get ahead of her a little bit and make his ship look more important, and as a result,
And
Yeah,
he
and-
screwed everything up.
Yeah, and I
Screw the booch.
don't. My issue wasn't that it wasn't realistic. It was more just like they've got time and other things to worry about. They have to pick and choose what they worry about. But it would have been nice if there was some kind of like just a bone they throw out saying like that only took a few seconds to explain away or something
exactly.
like
So
that.
make that competition a little. I do agree. Make make that competition a little bit more explicit. It was you had to sort of induce it, deduct it. I should know this. Whatever.
Deduction.
You had to figure it out from the context and which is sometimes that's okay. When you've got just over 20 minutes to tell a story, give us a line that makes it clear that Captain Freeman and Captain Durango have had some sort of like ongoing beef or something, that they're trying to impress each other. I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe they're angling for the same promotion or whatever.
I'm trying to remember if the original series original with an A. The original series and the animated series. I can't remember if those episodes, they were mostly the same length, but weren't they sometimes, wasn't it kind of varying length?
They were pretty much, the original series was a little over 50 minutes per episode. Because
maybe it was just longer, so
it was longer. What you might be thinking of is
Discovery would be anything on the streaming service.
Discovery and Picard were variable length.
Yeah.
It appears with Lower Decks, they're really trying to stick to a specific length.
Maybe to put it on TV.
Yeah, and I bet there's probably even some production reasons why that might be easier to deal with too. But
there's always some behind the scenes shit that someone might not think about. It's like, why the fuck can't they do that? It's like, well, because this, and this, and it fucks up this, and
it's a pretty well-oiled machine.
A waterfall of shit going down, after it. So,
but on the original series, you had the original lengths, and then when we were growing up, a lot of stations that played episodes, they needed to add in more commercials because it was shot and filmed at 50 plus minutes for the amount of commercials they were showing in the late 60s.
Right.
Now, even in the 80s, they were showing more commercials. So they started chopping time off. And then in the 90s, even more, they get chopped off.
42, 45 minutes.
And then if it's in syndication, then it's...
Exactly. They would just chop it all to pieces.
They'll just chop a ton out.
That was freaking...
Like Seinfeld.
Simpsons, they do it.
Simpsons.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so the Simpsons was the first time I really, truly remember being disturbed, being like, what the fuck's going on? Because it was the Halloween episode where Mr. Burns is a vampire.
That's a brilliant one.
Yeah, and there's that super fun happy
that's
slide.
super. Yeah.
So
why wouldn't I do this?
It was so in the original version, he's like, oh, super fun happy slide, and she's like, no, Dad. He's like, oh, and then but then later, every time I watch it on TV, they cut out the part where he goes super fun happy slide, and he looks at it and they cut to her just going, no, Dad. And so I was freaking out. I was like, what the fuck? I swear this was a real thing. Like, would they? It didn't even occur to me that they might chop it up, because I was like, why would they do that?
You just thought you were misremembering?
Yeah, no.
I thought it was going slowly insane.
Well, that's the whole Otto in his shoes talking. They cut that out.
Oh, yeah, hello,
things. Otto.
And it's really unfortunate. I'm glad one of the best things about the streaming era is that that's starting to go away.
I heard
as well as the speeding up, because with Seinfeld they actually sped it up.
Yeah.
They sped it up a little and pitch corrected,
right?
Which is super disturbing when you're watching it and you're like, why is Kramer extra twitchy?
I know. That's the shit where you're like, you only notice it just enough to make you like go a little nuts, but you don't know if you're going nuts or if it's real. It's real.
It's real. It's a fake.
It's real. I liked I like that. I like that. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I kind of dug that they sort of like took a Star Trek approach to the Ascension and Enlightenment thing. It's like, why not?
Yeah, no, it's good.
It's basically like, well, there'll just be some Ascension aliens or something like that. If there's a Q, why not have Ascension aliens? They'll have some
and they reference Q, and
that was actually another one of my favorite lines where Rutherford says, "So it's like a Q or the Traveler."
That was cool. That was cool.
Yeah. So she all told him O'Connor to drop and roll back to the corporeal plane.
Right. Yeah. Stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, and he's like, going like,
it burns still.
But the thing with that storyline was of course it was mostly focused where we're looking at Tendi for the most part, but they sneak in. This show is really good at sneaking in amongst the humor and the goofiness these sort of interesting little points, sometimes even a throwaway point. For example, when O'Connor is explaining that he was faking the whole thing, right? And he says, it's hard to stand out in Starfleet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I thought it's a throwaway line, but it has so much
it's
heavy meaning.
Yeah.
In Star Trek and for Star Trek in general, but also for this show when we're focused on these people who are trying to make a career for themselves.
Right.
And it tied in very tangentially, but it tied into the whole Boimler subplot, which was Boimler. We only saw him a couple times, but this idea of Boimler basically losing his mind because Mariner's mom, Captain Freeman, decides to
I like that
promote
they threw
her.
that in
Right,
there.
no, it was great when he threw the
and
coffee.
What was
in his
punishment?
garage.
What was
He's like,
punishment? And it was, what is punishment for Mariner is Boimler's dream, and he's not even. I mean, of course, I know he says he wants to be a captain one day or whatever, but his current dream is not even to be a captain. It's just to be a lieutenant, just to get that next notch up and get to. He would love to sit in again. It's very Leslie Knope. Or Amy Santiago on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Right.
He wants to be with, following all the
Binders.
rules, and he wants to he wants to have binders and he wants to fill out forms.
Those two characters love their binders.
But the way they played the voice acting was really good, and the animation
Yes,
was
it
really
was.
good. His
was fun.
very rapid descent into utter madness and frustration.
Yeah, no, that was good. I liked it.
And I bet you it touched a nerve with a lot of people, because I think a lot of people are in a situation where they don't understand why other people who seem obnoxious in their workplace
promoted.
are either getting promoted or getting attention.
Right.
And meanwhile, it's like, I'm following all the rules. And it's like,
Why am I not doing well?
Sometimes if you follow all the rules, people don't notice you.
Right.
Yeah.
You just fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just another
What's
number.
it? The sticky wheel gets the grease.
The squeaky wheel.
Squeaky wheel.
Sticky wheel gets the soap.
Sticky. I don't know a lot about. I don't know a lot about wheels.
The soap.
I don't know a lot about wheels.
Oh, well, I totally forgot what I was going to say. It had something to do with what you guys were talking
You should have
about.
Probably
said
having to
again,
do with
brother.
Boimler.
Boimler. Oh, yeah.
Boimler. What? She got promoted?
I don't think anyone called him by a non-Boimler
yeah.
name this time, but he did.
I do like
wasn't-
when he threw the Vulcan.
That's what I was gonna
And he was
say.
like, fuck you.
that's
And she
what I
was
was
like,
gonna
oh,
say.
don't. Oh, it does look cool.
Yeah,
I was just going to say that.
Well, I'm sorry.
I wonder how many people...
Philadelphia correspondent Jimmy stole Dan's reference.
He knew I was going there. Because I made that thing with my hands. But,
I liked it both times. That was funny.
I liked it. I wonder how many people on the internet said it was cringe or whatever.
If they did, most of them are.
Fuck the internet.
I don't.
There you go.
I know I shouldn't
Interwebs,
care.
fuck you.
Ultimately, I don't care, which is
Well,
why
yeah, you don't
which is why I
care. I
don't
know you
read
don't
it and
care.
go get all like about it. But I was because I'll laugh at something. I think I mentioned before. I think the game Borderlands 2 is funny, but a lot of people on the internet are like, "It game's so cringe," and fair enough. So
saying cringe now is cringe. When people say that,
it
it's
is
like
cringe.
that's pretty cringe.
So it's not that I question
Gotta
my
get that
own.
cringe, man.
I don't question my own judgment of comedy because it's like
funny.
that's a silly. That would be silly
are
for me to
stupid.
do. I think so, but it's just I'm kind of like. I wonder, it's like, I think this is so funny. Who else thinks this is different? It isn't funny. And what about their mind brought them to the conclusion that it isn't funny? And it's so fascinating how people come to different conclusions based upon the same.
I have seen more people.
It's
not,
nature versus nurture or some shit like that.
not
Some
that
people
this,
have no senses of humor.
Not that this matters.
There you go. That's basically it, man.
Or people just want to say
It's like,
shit.
it's a fucking show. Deal with it.
And
You know what?
The thing is you see more
is what it
people.
is.
You see more
Vulcan
people
salute,
online saying
bitches.
that they don't understand. They made a mistake by prejudging the show. So it's kind of cool to see that.
Oh, is there some turnaround on that?
Not that it. Well, turnaround. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Who cares? I mean, the problem is
It doesn't, you don't have to care,
doesn't
but at
matter.
the same time,
but
if
it's
you notice
interesting.
it
It is interesting. It's like from an anthropological perspective, it's interesting to see a bunch of people be like, "Fuck this show, it's bullshit," before it airs, and then we witnessed this on our Facebook page and some of the other social media where we saw
Facebook.
people making complaints that didn't make any sense because they hadn't actually watched the show.
Right. Yeah. There you
so they
go.
were stating things about, for example,
Prejudge.
about Ensign Mariner. They were making statements that were contradicted by the information the show has provided, proving that they had not seen the show. They were merely criticizing the show based only on their assumptions about what the show would be about. But I have also, for better, whatever it means to people out there, you do see on Reddit and Facebook, a lot of people saying, you know what? I gave the show a chance. It's different than I thought. It's better than I thought. Some of them, of course, couch it by saying like, but it's still stupid. But
Yeah. I mean,
because,
it's not as stupid
because
as
it's
I
cool
thought.
to go on the internet and like badmouth everything.
If you're like,
Yeah.
if you're, if you're entertained by it and you get something from it,
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you can criticize it, of course, but there's nothing that says it has to change your world.
I wonder if there might be
just have fun, man.
There might be a shift.
entertained for like 25
This
minutes.
is Star Trek for fun. This
it's
isn't
Star
like,
Trek. It's not.
which, by the way, all Star Trek is always
all
for
Star
fun.
Trek is
Well, true.
I was going to say all Star Trek is fun.
I'm wondering
Star
if
Trek.
the
even if it's
the,
heavy, bro.
the tremendous issues that are going on in society, globally, in the United States. I'm wondering if that's
Fucking
shifting things a
corona.
little in terms of people not stressing out, like this whole like bandwagon, get on the internet and talk shit about whatever, talk shit about Captain Marvel, talk shit about Star Wars or whatever, make a big deal about it as if it matters.
Marvel's cool.
It's like I can't say I'm seeing less of it, but anecdotally, I get the vibe that people are just not paying any attention to it anymore.
Yeah, is it all these incels just online that have nothing better to do?
I think people are like, you know what? There's more shit to
it?
worry about in the world
like
than
Corona and
whether or not a show...
right-wing asshole government.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, is a show to my taste or not? It is. That doesn't matter. Even to myself, it doesn't matter. If a show is not to my taste, I can stop watching it.
Right.
And it does not affect me in any way. Right. Now, granted, we have this podcast, so it would suck if we were watching a terrible show or we didn't like it because it would get aggravating after a while.
Right.
But so luckily that's not the case.
We'd still be slogging it out and doing a podcast.
We
every
would still be
episode.
slogging
You're like,
it out.
oh my God, how many more are there? How many more of these are there to do?
I didn't really have too much to say about last episode. I feel like it was just kind of...
There wasn't
it was
much
fine.
as
Last
much to
episode was a
talk
little
about.
less-
No,
Yeah.
this one was more fun.
Of course,
Yeah, it
one
was.
advantage the show has, being so episodic, we're getting character development along the way, little breadcrumbs and things, but being episodic, you can already see the advantage this show has in terms of being able to, like, you can go back in and out to any of these episodes, right? So in the future, if you're not interested in watching episode 3 or it's not, you're just not feeling it, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to watch it. What's difficult with Discovery and Picard, as much as I really like both of those shows, is I was just thinking about this the other day. It's like, okay, I want to watch some Discovery. Well, I mean, do I start at the beginning? Do I watch season 2? Do I watch this last episode of season 1 and then season 2? Like,
no, that's all.
you kind of can't. You can't hop in and out as easy. And even Deep Space Nine, in its most serialized, at least until the very end, you could still hop in and out of an episode and enjoy it pretty well. Could be that down the line with Discovery and Picard, you can do that.
Yeah.
But it is a more difficult proposition.
And as the writers can have more leeway. I don't know what they actually have, given by their higher ups, but creatively, it seems like they could have more leeway in the seasonal or the episodic ones because they're not going to paint themselves into a corner.
Because it's sort of like a positive and negative. The negative is pretty much everything has to go back to normal at the end of the episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But the positive is as long as that condition is met, you can kind of go insane in the episode and go to some really weird and crazy places.
And as a
Some wild and
cartoon,
crazy
it
places.
kind of follows that dictate where you start off normal, everything goes crazy, and then at the end it can be normal or not. And
That sounds like
then the next one, it's fine, it's all normal again.
That sounds like Frasier.
Frasier.
It was just the whole episode was always just getting crazier and crazier until there was an insane scene going on by the end, and then it pops and everyone's like,
Oh, this is bullshit.
It also
it's
helps
not very
to,
good.
It helps to watch these a couple of times because they pack so many
Yes.
references
Agreed.
to all
Agreed.
sorts of Star Trek
Agreed.
stuff that you have to be like, oh, okay, wait, I didn't catch that the first time, or
And-
the second
and-
time.
Frankly, even after 2, often when I've watched these 3 or 4 times, then
It's dense.
the colored sand when she knocked all the colored sand of the Ascension guy.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and then she ordered more, and she goes,
gong.
colorful sand, room temperature.
Yeah.
Those kinds of jokes. You're like, wait, it's like they sneak that in there. So when she was cleaning out those holodeck biofilters, it looked like she was just cleaning farts out of it.
Yeah, that was kind of
because
funny.
they sort of implied that it was maybe
talking about
semen.
It was
Mariner.
like
Yeah,
semen
Mariner.
and like shit. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
but
That was the
think it
whole
was
thing.
Okay,
semen.
now I think this is a good point to answer.
I was cocaine. And
We got to ask this question because the point
The idea was it was
like-
confirmation of the fact that the people are banging in
there.
the holodeck.
Right. It's mostly that.
But Ransom says I forget the exact quote, but it's basically along the lines of she's cleaning bleep out of the holodeck bleep filters.
Right.
And the only way my brain, and I'm putting this out there to you guys because my brain interpreted that as she's cleaning the cum out of the holodeck cum filters.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
And I was trying to think of something else that would fit in there.
I think that was the consensus.
I think that that's
so-
probably what
well,
it is.
That
So-
seems to
Semen?
be based on what I read on the internet. Everybody kind of thought that.
Yeah, but so
Jizz?
But
I'm
Freeman,
sure.
Freeman responded with,
At first, I was like, shit.
so Freeman responded with, they do that.
Yeah, no, it's cum.
Freeman responded with, they do that in there, which made me think it was they clean cum out of the shit filters. Only because she's
Right,
why are
right.
people putting? Because of course they put cum in the cum filters, but maybe she meant more
She
abstract.
just meant fucking.
She just meant like abstract, like they put cum in the holodeck, but.
Well, they don't put cum in the holodeck.
know,
they fuck a holodeck character.
I know, but the point I'm making,
semen comes out.
She said they do that in there, and so
It has to go into the filter.
So that's why I thought like there'd be cum in the shit filter that you had to clean out
Because you might have to go to the bathroom when you're in the hall.
yeah,
because-
right? You gotta
hilarious.
pee before
So,
you do your thing.
The whole thing, it's like you'd be like, why would they put cum in a shit filter? But if it was cum in a cum filter, that's where it goes in the cum filter.
yeah.
So
Well,
I
precisely.
don't know, but
No, I hear you.
there's arguments for all sides on this one.
Yeah, no,
I-
I agree with you. Bro.
I think this will be debated long in the amongst the Star Trek fans.
oh, it's so
Moist
hard.
vessel.
Then she had to lube up the turbo lift.
Yes, she did.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
you're all very sexual.
That was there was
beings.
something about the lube she was squirting out that
You were
was both
ascending
horrifying
into
and sensual.
sexualness.
Yeah.
There was some sort of like weird. There
was
something
very sexual
The
in this.
animation of the.
Yeah. Dude, did Tendi at one point blow up a wall with a plumbus?
Yes,
A plumbus.
pretty much.
She blew. That was a plumbus
Yes.
right there. Like,
Everyone owns a plumbus.
Yeah.
Tendi and O'Connor
Yeah.
are trapped underwater, or the water's filling.
Oh,
up.
that was a great scene when they're underwater.
yeah, and there's that pink plumbus.
And
thing.
she sees one of them explode. Great Star Trek thing. She sees
Yeah.
something happen.
Yeah, I
she
like that. I
No,
appreciated
that was a good scene.
realizes she can use that to help save the day.
Yeah.
or
Yep.
save her.
It's like a point and click adventure.
Yeah, no, I like that. That was a good scene.
Pointy and clicky.
What
yeah.
about what was his name was like Lieutenant Winger Bingston Jr. And it was like the United
Winger.
Federation of Characters.
Yeah, and he was like,
Didn't see you beam in there.
yes, he did. He's like, hello. Oh, hello. I didn't see you beam in there.
His head's all turned around.
That was the other one that had me fucking.
Yeah,
laugh.
she's
Like,
Freeman's
I was
doing vocal
on the-
jazz. That guy just improv.
It's the notes you don't get.
Improv is cool, but most of the time it's so terrible and just
Yeah.
like everyone's like, "Oh, I'm goofy," And I like the boring poker where everyone folds.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Mandatory birthday. Where
I'm all in.
Where he's singing and playing acoustic guitar for hours, and it's songs he wrote about the month he lived in Barcelona. Those are pretty good. All the boring shit that they have to do. They are folding a lot. I kept thinking back to like the episode where the time went crazy in the TNG, but I know there were.
Oh,
many
yeah,
others.
right. They play poker a lot, but it's like, okay, there's the executive poker, and then there's like the conferences and stuff, and it's like, well, if you think about it, like on most ships, if you're not playing poker with like Geordi and Data and Riker and Bev,
most ships.
like
They're on all
it's
the ships.
going to be boring.
ships.
If you're sitting in a conference room and it's not like Geordi and Picard being like, well, what can we do about this? And it's like, I bet we can do this. It's like, well, they're just talking about what kind of furniture they're going to.
I know the whole barstool thing.
It's like, what? I thought we were going to
yeah.
do
the
bar
barstool
stools.
thing was really good.
So when they were talking
You're
about the-
sitting on it wrong.
Killed men for less.
Yeah, no, you haven't. So yeah, Billups is getting more love now, which is cool.
Barstools are cool.
But on and Shax was all talking about a beige seat with a leather strap.
Yeah, that was
I was wondering,
hilarious.
is that a reference to something in one
It's
of
like
the shows?
Picard's chair, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I think
that
so,
was the-
yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, that had to be a reference. And then, of course, the painful, like, auditing the audit reports, ops to review the ops, basically go to meetings about meetings and things like that. So
that's what you get to do when you have a higher profile job.
yeah, everything is to just study itself. Make sure it's all. They call it operations.
Yeah, no,
Operations.
the whole angle with Mariner and her mom, right? So first of all, Mariner, there's two things going on here. There's Mariner as an employee, let's for lack of a better term, and there's the relationship with her mom, and of course they intersect. But even if Captain Freeman wasn't Mariner's mom, a lot of what she's doing, at least initially, you understand from the perspective of a superior officer who's annoyed that this officer is behaving poorly. And, of course it is, as they discuss, a childish response for Captain Freeman to follow Ransom's advice to just give Mariner bad jobs.
Right.
Mariner, being a clever employee, finds that she does what everyone in the
she's
world
like,
should
let's
do.
bet on it.
Find, as Ransom says,
Loopholes.
inserting small amounts of joy into otherwise horrific tasks.
Yeah, I thought that was like inspiring, but it was like, oh no.
But-
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good because I had hope.
The idea that Mariner then had
You have a
of
shitty job, but you can make it fun.
promoting Mariner was clever because it makes sense that, it's based off of what we already know about Mariner, plus it teaches us a little bit more. It reinforces the fact that Mariner really likes being in the position where she's at, where she can avoid responsibility.
Right.
So she, on the one hand, is highly confident, highly competent, We've seen it in previous episodes as well as this one. But she also wants to avoid actually having the responsibility.
She doesn't want to do anything.
And
really.
And the question is it just the work itself, or is it the responsibility over the people under her command? And I think that's maybe where the angle they're going to go, that maybe that's what some of her issues are, because, if you are in command of somebody, you are now responsible for their lives. And
Maybe something happened to her in the past, because we know that something happened to her.
Yeah.
So Ransom made that point about why he doesn't know why she doesn't just kick her off the ship, which is kind of not a very profound line, but at the same time, it makes you wonder, why doesn't she just kick her off the ship? Because she's her mom, and there's something that's going to...
mom.
Yeah, and so...
although we're...
She doesn't want to. It's funny
her mom doesn't seem to want her on the ship. Her dad was the one who assigned her to the
ship, and the mom is kind of like, ugh.
And so I guess the question is, we don't know if they're still married. They probably are, but...
hard to say.
Yeah.
But,
it's still their child, and, they have to deal with it, and it was kind of entertaining to see that kind of mother-daughter,
It was a little too real.
It was too
so
real.
Well,
it was really well crafted, and it was funny because I have to throw this out. I was watching. It was my first Star Trek for my little child, who's 1.5, and she was entertained by it. But no, it was funny. I mean, the whole mother-daughter. I was like, "Aw."
Yeah,
I get the it's not the maternal, but it's like a parental. Yeah, you understand.
Yeah, it was a parental. It wasn't mother-daughter. It was parent-child.
A parent-child kind of. You're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Which was why it would go.
It's like they're the same person, except one's older and one's younger.
Which is why it would.
One can do scat singing.
Yeah, one can scat because it's the notes you don't hit.
It was why they could why she didn't want to get rid of.
Can play the axe.
Why she didn't want to get rid of her directly. And why another reason why she went the roundabout route is because she didn't want to take the responsibility, in the sense that, and I guess Patrick kind of already touched on this, but as a parent, she just didn't want to feel that responsibility. It was funny. So what Ransom told her, he was like, the idea is make it Mariner's idea. And then at the end of the conversation,
but she knew.
And then at the end of the conversation, he made it Freeman's idea to do that assignment. Yeah. So he's like,
that's why you're the captain.
He's like
a master. Yeah, he's a deceptor.
He is a deceptor.
That's why you're the captain.
I love when they were having a conversation, and suddenly he's looking at his muscles, flexing his muscles mid conversation, because it reminds me of a couple people I know that it's that's real.
No.
That will stop mid conversation.
I think I know one of the people we were talking about. Thinking about.
I think I do too.
Just look in the mirror and flex your muscles.
Yeah,
it does happen.
Mid conversation.
Yeah, mid conversation.
So that's real.
It does happen.
There's guys like that.
Yeah. I mean, and plus, Jerry O'Connell, dude's hot.
Yeah,
he's still hot.
He's a looker, bro.
He's a looker. He's a handsome sliders man.
Slide right into me.
He can slide right in.
That's part of the fun. I mean, sometimes you want to be lost in the character, but sometimes you just want to picture that hot actor behind it.
Sure. Yeah, Mariner.
Oh yeah, Rutherford.
There's a Moriarty reference.
Moriarty, that was awesome.
Yeah,
he's like Moriarty.
He's like, oh, I'm on the holodeck. Oh, Moriarty.
Yeah, Moriarty holodeck.
I like how he picked Moriarty.
Yeah,
to beat him.
Yeah, it's the ongoing Moriarty holodeck thing. There was also when the shit was going down, the computer's like, unauthorized terraformation. It's like, wait a minute. What kind of situations do you have built up here that
Yeah, another example.
That's a perfectly authorized terror.
I mean, you could barely even hear that joke.
Yeah,
and that's there's so many little things that they squeeze in here that are really, really brilliant in the Star Trek context.
This is another example of Star Trek finding some amazing shit, and what are they going to do with it? They have juice that can make life from nothing. Or from
awesome.
inert or
we'll never hear of it again.
Never hear it again. That's some pretty serious shit.
Yeah. But the other
you just
funny
drop
thing,
it on a planet, and
it's life changing.
You don't have to blow shit up or anything. You just drop it on a planet.
I think another running gag they're going to do is this is the second time that Mariner saved the ship by just sort of releasing a gas into the ship.
Yeah.
And of course we saw that all the time on TOS and TNG in particular. They were always releasing some gas or radiation.
All we have to do is release this
and just tell the actors to kind of writhe around.
Right.
Oh, herky jerky
I'm a herky jerk.
I'm a herky jerky.
TOS has more of the people all pretending that the set is moving when it's not, and so they're all moving from one side of the corridor to the other.
That's like Godzilla needs to be in a suit, like a human Godzilla suit. That's like Godzilla. This is Star Trek. It's like they're like, it's awesome moving around. Oh, I was watching The Expanse, and it was interesting because I was thinking about how their consoles always blow up in Star Trek. And you're like, how are these consoles blowing up? But at least in the first series of Expanse, like there's parts where bullets are just going into the ship.
Yeah,
and like
the consoles don't explode. Yeah, the bullets go straight through the ship.
So I was like, okay, that's it. I buy that. But
Expanse is great for being
I'd buy
much
that for
harder
$1.
sci-fi. You know, it's more realistic in terms of it's all in the solar
hard,
system and all that.
super hard.
But in Star Trek again,
hard.
the point of Star Trek never was to be a realistic
Yeah,
example
no.
of spacefaring. It's a metaphor. It's a storytelling vehicle that works really, really, really well, and I think it continues to work well in this episode. I agree, Dan, that last episode there was funny parts. Parts of it were interesting, but it was somewhat little less engaging than the first couple episodes. And this one really hit it on all cylinders for me because the A story, the B story, were very Star Trek style, but with little twists on it. You had a lot of character development in terms of course, Tendi, as we talked about, and learning more about the relationship between Mariner and Captain Freeman. And as Jimmy was referring to, that the realism of that parent-child relationship,
that
with
whole
the constant
scene
criticism.
with the
Yeah,
rock.
man,
It's like-
it's
and she's
my God.
true, dude.
She's like, see, it worked. And she's
It's
like, yeah,
rough.
well, it would have gone faster if they used the other rock.
It reminded me of.
Yeah,
I just
why
wanna
didn't you
help
use
you.
the shale?
Yeah, right.
Use the shale.
I remember one time.
What? I just want to help you.
My dad used to, sometimes my dad's a wonderful guy, he's super nice, but I remember when I was a kid, he would scold me if I was like following behind him and he'd stop and I'd sort of bump into him or scuff his heels and he'd say like, oh, you got to watch where you're going. You got to watch where you're going. It's like, all right, fine. And then one time I was walking in front of him and I stopped and he scuffed my heels and he's like, you can't just stop in the
There's nothing you can do.
I was like,
Yeah.
all right.
Hey, you're always wrong, child.
I guess I know how to, and I'm a parent now, so I
Yeah,
know
right, you
exactly.
get it.
I know exactly what the deal
You
is.
get it.
But it was really well done here, and
Yeah, it was very good.
what we're learning more similarities which is understandable, between Freeman and Mariner. They have different personalities, but you start.
But they're the same person.
Yeah,
though.
you
Deep
see the
down,
hints.
they
There's
really are.
certain
It's just-
certain
that's why they
insecurities are there.
clash.
Exactly.
That's
and,
why they clash, because they're really the same person.
and
personality-wise.
I want to learn more about Captain Freeman in the sense that we've already described that she is not a top tier captain. She's not Captain Picard. That's why she's on the ship that she's on, right? For
She's
example.
better than that Durango, though.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck
Oh
that,
yeah,
dude.
she's better than Durango.
I can't remember what kind of alien that is.
He's a Tellarite.
He's a Tellarite.
Oh,
There's a
fuck me.
difference between being less competent and being incompetent. Freeman. Last episode, I think one of the things that annoyed me a little bit was that I think some of Freeman's actions were kind of a little bit ridiculous, a little bit almost verging too much on parody. Which I don't think is necessary for the comedy. I think they pushed it a little hard. This one I thought it was better because her decision making all along, some of it was a little childish or whatever. But it was not necessarily poorly motivated, though. She wasn't doing what you would like to see a good manager do, but she wasn't doing anything completely ridiculous either.
So The Office, of course, you have Steve Carell who plays, an inept boss. And then you have after that Parks and Rec. I mean, you have other stuff in between. But when I watched Parks and Rec,
There's only those two shows.
just those two. It's true. It's true. He didn't make that up. Parks and Rec, the first episode I saw, I didn't have any
Hey,
expectations.
it's me, Jail Mike.
But there was the first episode. Leslie Knope did come across as like an inept kind of goofy, bumbling.
She was
like-
very goofy. They
Yeah.
changed her character because she was all like, boyfriend is obsessed with a guy she slept with like years ago. And it was just like,
She was
Who
too
is
much.
that
She
guy?
was too much Steve
I'm not
Carell.
gonna
She
say
needed
the
to be her
name.
own thing.
and that's the thing I was thinking.
It
Like,
only
I
works
was
when
like,
she's competent.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the thing. I was like, I liked
Mark
it.
Brandanowitz.
there's a name I haven't heard. in a
Brandana
long
quits.
time.
That was-
yeah, basically.
That was when
that guy.
when I watched it, I liked the episode, but I remember thinking like, oh, she's like Steve Carell. But then as I watched it more, right, she was very competent. You know, she's just kind of
Binders,
eccentric.
man. She's
you know?
very eccentric.
They
Yeah.
expand
Kooky.
on that. I mean, it's also Michael Schur and everything, but in Brooklyn Nine-Nine with the
Yeah,
Amy
it's
Santiago character,
yeah.
it's an evolution in a sense.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
another example
It's
of
a Nope
the
character.
comedy that can come out of competence, right? Because
And
for-
Rosa's kind of like Ron.
Yeah, and,
almost.
and Rosa's also very competent.
Yes.
The idea that the old sitcom style was that a lot of comedy had to come from, Homer Simpson style, Family Guy style,
Right.
where it's like a bumbling incompetent and thus humorous.
Right, the
you know,
bumbling
events unfold,
incompetents
right?
in Brooklyn Nine-Nine are basically Scully and Hitchcock, but they still do shit right
They're
when they have to.
Exactly. They're still not bad. The idea that you can have characters that are competent and you can still have comedy come out of it, and you can still have drama come out of it too, because the hyper competence can be a barrier in and of itself. And Boimler also fits into that in this show, right? Because he is good at his job. He does does everything right, but he gets in his head, and the stuff that gets in his head results in him doing insane shit like pouring a bunch of hot coffee
Yeah,
on
that was
in the
such a
middle of
great
an emergency.
scene. I loved it. He was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
That's the type of thing that hyper competence can does not make up for psychological insecurities and damage and stuff, right? Which I think is a really cool
I
thing
don't know.
to see.
I really love that scene because it was just like, I'm gonna like do bad at my job because then I'll get like better. And it's like he just pours a coffee and it like burns his, and it was great because he's just like, what are you doing? Because shit's like going bad. And
it's also funny because even if you accepted his logic, which of course we know his logic, it was flawed because he was missing information.
Yeah.
He did not know that Mariner was promoted to punish her, right?
Right.
So he didn't know that. But even if his logic made sense, he still did it in a Boimler overachiever sense, because what Mariner was doing that got her quote unquote promoted was yawning during a meeting. He immediately goes to assaulting the first officer with boiling hot coffee.
And he wants to overachieve.
Exactly. It's an it's like, oh, I'm going to fuck up so bad, they're going to make me a captain now.
That's funny. Such a perversion.
Moriarty.
There was the bees, the
Temerian bees.
Yeah, so that began with Tendi, and I liked how she was talking about
who gets more honey.
I like how she was talking about I like the concept of mixing and matching prayers from different cultures.
Yeah.
Like to help speed up ascension.
Yeah, that was good.
The Temerians are the people from the Dharma.
Yeah, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
So
the metaphors.
So yeah, she's talking about beating the system, and then she releases a bunch of these. She calls them florkas. Yeah, florkas. I thought that they didn't make this joke, but she said we can beat the system, and she released bees. So it's like she was saying we can be the system.
Yeah.
The system.
But then because then you are the system, and that's what happens when you ascend. You be the system.
Yeah. I'm everywhere,
Whoa.
nowhere.
Yourself.
I'm everywhere.
They
but
totally
nowhere.
did that on purpose.
Why is
But,
that koala smiling at me, man?
Florkas. So
What does he know?
I thought they were bees too. Were they flies though? I
they
think
called
they were
them
bees.
something.
They call
They call
like
them
you said, like
florkas.
florkas or something.
Florkas.
It's the vital process of the ascension for the Temerians. And she was going to align her chakra and then Reiki her.
Yeah, that was great. I like the chakra and Reiki.
I like
Reiki,
and
Reiki.
the concept of her
It was
again being a hyper competent person, an Amy Santiago type. Her idea is, I'll just study. I'll get
Everything.
I'll get spiritual by just reading all these
She
books.
had reading
She had like a
everything.
huge
fast.
pile of books, and she
Yeah.
didn't eat her tacos.
And I like.
There were 3 tacos on that plate.
Yeah, he was all, but Rutherford was psyched about the pudding.
It didn't even look like pudding until he said it was pudding.
Yeah.
You don't know it was pudding.
I'm enjoying the relationship between Rutherford and Tendi because they kind of go back and forth between, they seem to take it in turns of being the one who's sort of losing it a little bit. But it's unique to each of their situations, right? And in this case, Rutherford was the one who was able to look at it more objectively and be like, yeah, I think you're acting a little crazy about this whole ascension thing. But he did it in a polite, nice way, which was
he did.
cool.
The Iberian Peninsula. I bought some Iberian.
That's a Spain and a Portugal.
There's no peninsula more sensual than the
Yeah,
Iberian.
I bought some Iberia brands.
Fenthual.
I bought some Iberia brand.
Iberia.
I bought some Iberia brand.
Iberia.
I'm just gonna keep starting over. I bought some.
Iberia.
This is what people come for.
I bought some Iberia brand pinto beans and I ate them.
Yeah, because you're avoiding the Goya, right?
Yeah, fuck the
Yeah,
Goya.
fuck Goya.
Yeah.
Goya, suck a dick.
More like
We're not making any political statements. We're just saying fuck Goya.
no, more like no moi, more yo,
more yo.
more like no more mo yo.
Do you like Francisco?
It's a
Goya?
yo-yo ball.
You've been to the Iberian Peninsula, right?
Hell no, I haven't.
You went to Spain.
I haven't been.
I didn't. Wasn't in
fun,
every
yeah.
spot that was in Spain.
No, but Spain is on the
It's
Iberian
on the
Peninsula.
Iberian
But that's the Iberian.
Peninsula.
It was Spain
So you've
and
been
Portugal.
into
It's the
Spain.
That doesn't mean
Iberian.
you went over every square
Yeah.
centimeter. Of it.
Right.
I mean, then I guess I'm ignorant because it wasn't something that we were like, we're on the Iberian Peninsula. We were like, we're in Barcelona.
You went to
or
Barcelona.
La
Barcelona.
Figueroa.
You're in Iberia. It's an old Roman term.
Yeah, it's just like it's not something that was really advertised as the thing to do, but it was made up of many other things.
Well, it's like calling,
to the Iberian
it's like,
Peninsula. Welcome to welcome to Spain.
It's like saying Thuringia. Like that, it doesn't exist.
Did you go to Ibiza?
Turing. You can go to Turing in East Germany.
Did you go to Pangea?
They don't call it East Germany any longer.
Pangea is an awesome album by Miles Davis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If peeing your pants is cool, then call me Miles Davis.
Oh my God, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Or is it I must be? Or is it I must be Miles Davis? I think it's I must be.
I think you got it right the first time.
Everyone's pee their pants.
Everyone is cool that pees your pants.
Consider me. Oh, it's if peeing your pants is cool. Consider me Miles Davis.
Oh my God, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Consider
These
me
are
Miles
quotes
Davis.
from Billy
Birth
Madison.
of the Cool.
Billy Madison.
That thing is over 25
an Adam
years
Sandler
old.
movie that was popular
I'm over 25 years.
in the 1990s.
Adam
way
Sandler was once a popular actor.
We need to get Adam Sandler to be on Star Trek, whether it's Lower Decks
That
or
would be
Picard.
no. I think he would enjoy that probably.
Maybe he should be on Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
There you go.
He could play a dealer in sort of
right. and he could
illicit crystals.
right. He could show up in sweatpants.
So
Time crystals are better.
So Billy Madison responds with, "Ooh, that is the grossest thing I've ever heard in my life. Let's go."
Yeah. See, I almost got that.
O'Doyle
Yeah.
rules.
O'Doyle rules.
rules.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Conditioner is better.
Shampoo is better. Conditioner is
Better.
Stop looking at me, Swan. So this is getting really. This is really
It's got
devolving.
Adam Sandler.
Is really devolving.
It's got Adam
I'm getting the
Sandler.
impression we have largely exhausted what we wanted to talk about this week's episode.
It just so happened you
Moist
brought up Miles Davis, and because I said
Vessel.
Pangea.
Well, you
We
said
can talk more
Pangea.
about
I said
Parks and Rec.
Pangea because Jesse asked me if I went to Iberian Peninsula because I brought up Iberian Peninsula because that's
And
what
you're
Ransom
like,
said.
And you're like, well, I didn't go all over the peninsula.
Oh, no, this is all,
I didn't know what
this
you
is
meant.
all in scope. All of this is in scope because Ransom did mention the Iberian Peninsula, or at least Captain
It's the
Freeman
most
mentioned.
central peninsula.
It
The
is.
sensual.
I had Iberia pinto beans.
Sensible.
Pinto.
Don't you like pinto bean?
Pinto.
It's a weird Yankovic song called Taco Grande.
Taco Grande.
Grande.
It's taco.
That's pretty good.
It's a parody of
Grande.
it's a parody of Rico Suave.
Suave by
Gerardo.
It's a better song than Rico
Oh,
Suave.
dude, that
Taco
song is
Grande
so bad.
It was way better than Rico Suave.
Dude,
I don't know. They're both. I think they're not equal.
No, you should like YouTube the Gerardo and see how horrible that video is.
Oh, I've seen the video
yeah,
many
the
times.
video. Yeah, but now
We
when
used
you
to make
watch it
fun
in
of it.
like fresh eyes,
We made we
God.
made fun of it back in the day.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
okay, good.
It is
Back
really
when
old now.
It's old, but
So
it's
kids out there for the what is it?
It's just like
Millennial
30 years
Generation
old.
Z.
Yeah, it's so terrible, dude.
So Generation
It's
Z is the
hilarious.
new one.
I guess so.
There used to be a network called MTV,
It played
and it
video.
stood
I
for
think it's still there.
It
music
is, but
TV.
they don't play music.
I know.
videos.
They used
Well,
to
yeah,
play
they haven't
music.
played it for
They used
like
to play
30
music
years. They haven't done that in 30 years.
They used to play
Music
like
videos.
Beavis
Yeah,
and
like
Butthead,
30
Liquid
years
Television.
It was like
There's no
radio
reason to do it
on the
now.
TV. You got your radio, but this was on the TV.
You may
with
have heard about radio
pictures.
on the internet.
Radio.
So there was this guy I worked with last year, and he was in his early 20s, and I'm not
will live in infamy.
I'm not criticizing his knowledge because we're from different eras, and why does anyone remember anything? But during we had
Really?
we had
For real.
an evening meeting where we had to
I don't remember much.
do some work shit, and so they put on a bunch of music, and our boss, she's like a Gen Xer hardcore. She put on her like 80s tunes, and
DMX.
one of them that came up was Milli Vanilli.
Oh, God.
There's like that one that's like ba 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 baby, don't
Oh,
forget my number, and it was like
God.
so when it's like I've been searching ha 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 ha. I've been searching low. And like he was all jamming to it. He was like, I'd never heard this before. He was like jamming to some Milli Vanilli. I was like, awesome,
Oh,
man.
there's some great. There's
because
that-
it's like
No,
it's
decent pop.
it's got that
honestly.
cheesy synth
Yeah.
pop background. It's like
Yeah.
doom, 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 doom. It's like they hit the the something beat, and then they like hit the.
Right.
It was kind of like Wesley Willis.
Totally.
They recorded it. They recorded it in the store on a on the demo
Casio.
unit.
Yeah.
It's not like the worst thing, but it's not.
There
the
are
best.
He was
Great-
all jamming to it. I
There
thought
are
it was
great
funny.
YouTube videos of young kids listening to old, like not even old. I don't.
Yeah,
know,
they were
like Peter
listening, like-
Gabriel and
yeah,
shit,
or like
and they're all like,
Genesis.
"Oh, this is
Oh,
amazing."
man.
They're
It's
like,
like,
"This is
fuck
blowing
you.
my mind." Yeah, which is both
Kids
depressing
are
and
pretty
funny.
tight.
Yeah, kids are tight.
They should listen to the Misfits.
They're making some good music. Some of these young kids. Just go onto Google and type "young kids." Go into YouTube and type in "young kids."
I'm not going to finish with any joke on
the
that. 'cause-
FBI is coming after you.
Type in young kids music, young kids dancing, and you'll see some
Young
No,
kids,
no.
tight music.
tight young
Put
kids
in like
music.
tight young
Tight
kids.
young-
No FBI.
See, I feel bad now.
No, Jesse's right. You got to put in like the colon, not
The colon,
FBI.
Not
FBI.
FBI.
Yeah, you got to put in all those Boolean operators. All right.
Put in the colon.
If you want to search properly, people, you got to use your Boolean operators.
Boolean operator.
It works on a Boolean.
Use a Boolean operator.
I want them to introduce ebullient operators.
Ebullient.
You know,
What
ones
about
that are all,
Ebolian?
they're all like
Ebola.
Booleans.
They tear your operators to pieces.
They
just-
melt your
Turns it into
insides.
blood and poo poo.
I want some.
They melt your
I want some
eyes.
Ebolian cubes.
No, you
Well,
don't.
yeah, I'm down for that. Okay, so I think we've largely finished does anybody have any concluding messages, comments, thoughts?
Just another
Opinions.
just another mention of the plumbus. I thought that was definitely a
it was like
plumbus.
it was not a plumbus. It was like a round
Plumbus.
plumbus.
It was
Everyone
inspired
has a
plumbus.
plumbus.
It was inspired by plumbus.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was an expired plumbus because I could see if a plumbus
that would be
gets
cool.
old, if like an old plumbus gets a little
how does
withered
it
and
expired?
yeah.
You think I'm stupid? That's an expired plumbus. All right.
I like it when the captain says hit it and the computer's all like hitting it and like they go to warp speed.
Nice.
I didn't even notice that.
Just towards the end.
Rutherford was all talking about like how he had to do monitor the power fluctuation in the tractor beam, but he wanted to do that on the impulse relays.
Yeah, but then when he
Another
actually
awesome
got to do it,
Rutherford
he was
line.
all like, "Oh man, look at these amplitudes."
Yeah, right. That's right. Look at these amplitudes. You see the thing, I'll go like.
A lot of good stuff in this episode. So, and they show the preview at the end. Next week we won't talk about it in case people don't want to be spoiled, but looks to be another,
Don't spoil it
fun,
for
interesting
everybody in
episode.
Europe.
Episode 5. It's going to be, I guess was the middle of the season. There's 10 episodes, right? So, we're looking forward to that.
What are we gonna do after Lower Deck?
Well, I think Discovery starts right up.
Yeah,
we'll
there
do
you go.
Wow.
Discovery.
Yeah, I know.
Full
That's
itinerary.
awesome.
Yeah.
Our schedule is full.
Probably have to take a
Schedule.
break.
My piano teacher was not English, but she always said schedule.
Schedule.
And when she was
Schedule.
really
Which
mad,
she was fucking
Schedule,
pretentious.
schedule.
she was when
She
she
had a pretentious piano
Maybe she
teacher.
had a
Yeah, she
speech
did.
impediment.
Yeah.
Well, she-
Pretentious.
That's how I
moi.
say sensors.
when she like would forget her pencil or something,
Sensors.
she'd go, "Oh, sugar."
Oh, sugar.
She was from the South.
Fun. How
Perfect
I say
hair. That
fun.
South like non-moving hair.
I love the fact that you can watch stuff as a child, and as you grow, you begin to get jokes more. Right, you get
Jokes
more
and
of the
jokes.
jokes. You learn history. You learn cultural.
I didn't get
references.
the 69 Bill and Ted. It's like, what number am I?
Yeah, exactly.
I was
That's
like,
an example.
I was like, that's funny. They know the same number, but like, I didn't like.
I was thinking.
It's sexual, bro.
I was thinking
I
of the
didn't even know
joke.
that.
Sexual thing.
The joke
even know that.
in Faulty Towers,
that's cool.
right? In the episode Faulty Towers in
Which episode?
it's the
He go crazy. He go crazy.
it's the one where it's actually I think it's the first episode. I believe it's the first episode of Faulty Towers.
Oh, that guy that's like the detective.
Yeah, so you have the
is it?
sexy guy, the 70s
Waldorf
guy.
salad.
That's the one with the lime Ricky.
The lime.
Is that where they ordered the lime Ricky?
Yeah.
But he's the what do you call it?
It's the people that keep getting ignored by Faulty.
Yeah, it's called A Touch
Isn't
of
that
Class.
everyone?
It's
Yeah,
a touch of class. It's the very first episode, and it's where Faulty is completely Basil Faulty is completely ignoring the kind of sexy like 70s open chest.
Yeah.
He's got like
yeah.
chains.
He's got like
Right,
chains
right.
of
And he's
gold
all
stuff.
like flirting
A
with.
racing
Exactly,
jacket.
and it
wife.
turns out the guy he's really into is like this upper class guy, but he's just a fraudster.
Right.
And the other guy was a cop. But anyway,
Yeah, he's calling
Oh,
himself
yeah,
Lord
yeah.
somebody.
You
or-
there is a joke in there
Spoons.
that I don't think I got until I was maybe, I don't know, 20 something. And it's where
something.
Yeah, it's where the sexy 70s guy, you don't see the joke. You
The guy
only-
in the 70s, or is he from the 70s?
well, it's in the 70s
well,
and
it's
he's from the
both,
70s.
both.
yeah.
And
So
he's
it's not.
probably about 70 right now.
So, but
Yeah,
he's
right.
not like.
bet he's still got that sexy
So
chest.
it's not like he was wearing bell bottoms and
even
being all
thicker.
70s.
I think he was wearing
He
bell
was
bottoms.
wearing.
Oh,
was wearing, like,
it's Britain. Everybody was super
puka
stylish.
shells.
Yeah, super stylish.
He was super
man.
sexy.
Shows what I know.
Yeah.
Like Mrs. Faulty was kind of
Yes.
getting all into him.
Oh, I know.
But
was
I
sexy.
know.
Oh, I know.
But you don't even hear the joke. You hear the punchline to the joke, and the punchline to the joke. The scene. Faulty comes into the scene. I think this guy is talking to Mrs. Faulty, and all you hear him say is "pretentious, moi." And I remember my parents would laugh their asses off at that. And as a kid, I loved Faulty Towers. I mean, but I didn't know that joke. And I would kind of laugh along with it. And then one day it clicked. I was like, okay, yeah, moi.
Yeah.
It's a pretentious thing to say. So you had a pretentious piano teacher saying schedule.
Yeah.
She's not born
She was.
in the British Isles.
Yeah, she was
No
from the
excuse.
South.
Or Torquay.
Yeah,
What the
Torquay.
hell?
Yeah. All right. So I think that will do it for us this week.
I've been to the Isle of Wight.
What we got to
Cool.
do is
Bunch of white
explain
people there, right?
the communication methods, right? Because our understanding is that all these young people out there who are using digital mediums also like to communicate digitally, right? Which is why we do not provide our mailing address.
Where can they go?
They can contact us digitally in a variety of ways.
That's what I keep hearing.
Dan is quite familiar with some of these ways.
I'm a digital robot. Look at me.
You can use various sine waves.
I'm a digital robot. Gonna just be me. I'm a robot. I'm a robot, yeah. Digital robot.
It's true. Dan is actually a robot.
I'm a digital robot.
He's a digital robot.
Yeah.
Sexy digital.
He used to be an analog
yeah.
robot, but we upgraded his
Yeah,
ass.
we had the
He
digi.
got
We had to
converted.
give him
We got
to the,
tired of winding
the
him
Dan
up.
Digi.
But
the
I'm
DD.
But I'm still nostalgic for those old analog days.
It's just,
bet
it
you
used to
are.
be, and you guys will notice this if you go back and listen to earlier episodes of the podcast. You have to listen to like episodes 1 through 5.
Dan.
You can hear Dan because we had to wind Dan up, and so at the
like
beginning of the
TikTok.
episodes, he'd be all like crazy, like he was on crack. But it was kind of like he would slow down towards the end.
But he had more depth to it. It wasn't just ones and zeros.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
that's
a,
right,
there was-
yeah. Yeah, there's an unspeakable quality about me that you couldn't define.
Now there's consistent energy, but yes, you lose a little of the heart.
I'm perfectly reproducible, but you know,
Reproducible, you pretentious piece of shit.
You don't lose any generations.
Are we going to give these people our email or not? I don't know.
I don't think it's a good idea.
No,
they might fucking
I
contact
wouldn't
us.
do you do that.
Sending
I
us
mean,
an
it
email.
depends.
Like, you guys talk too much about the Iberian Peninsula.
Censors.
Censors.
our email-
Why are you making fun of me?
our,
Making fun.
Fun.
She's making fun of you, dummy.
everybody knows I pronounce words incorrectly. I noticed that there are some people that would just consistently mispronounce words,
Yeah.
I at least try to make the pronunciation right, and I'm not saying I get it right all the time, but some people just they don't try. And that's fine, that's their business, but
Or
it's
it's an
also kinda
affectation. You can have a little faun.
Fun.
no, but it's not even just one or two words. It's
Process.
consistently every word.
Maybe they had a stroke or some other
see,
debilitating.
Maybe I'm an asshole.
I can imagine you being at work or something like, get a load of this guy. He can't talk properly. Yeah. That dude got kicked in the head by a bull.
Look at when he stands up. He
That
walks
dude was
all funny.
he was fine until he went running with the bulls on the Iberian Peninsula.
The Iberian Peninsula. Oh.
So our email address is
These nuts.
feedback@itsgotstartrek.com.
Good.
Ooh.
And
Star
infer-
Trek.
And we can infer from that. We can infer what's the website that we can infer from the email address.
www.itsgotstartrek.com.
Excellent. What about
Egg salad.
I've been hearing all
It's
this
got
stuff
Star
about social media.
At It's Got Star Trek for Twitter and Instagram.
What is this
And
Twitter?
Facebook.
Facebook, you can just type in It's Got Star
Star
Trek.
Trek.
But you could also put a thingy at the front.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want on Facebook, apparently, and Facebook can apparently do whatever the fuck they want to you too. Like, just change everything around.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're gonna send you an email that says we've already changed things around.
Oh man.
guess what? You're not going to find anything.
Your pictures look better like this.
Yeah, no, we're going to turn them sideways because that's what people are into now, craning their heads sideways.
And it was fucking freaking me out because like they had changed mine and then you hadn't changed yours, so we're trying to do the same thing and like, well, it's taking me somewhere else. What's going on? I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. And I gave you a million screenshots and you're like, that's weird. I don't know.
Dan and I were on the we were fiddling around on the It's Got Star Trek Facebook page, and we were completely confused as to why we were not.
I got so frustrated.
Yeah, we were not syncing at all. And then finally, Dan says, Dan and I were sending each other screen caps, and it's because Dan's got a completely different format of Facebook than I do at the time.
Oh wow!
But now I have the upgrade.
Fucking
so.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg.
That night I was just like,
Zuckerberg is the Borg, dude. Fuck him.
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerborg.
I think at one point in the night I was just like, I've had enough. I can't do this anymore tonight.
I think the Borg have more heart than Zuckerberg. If you ask me.
Damn. Oh, dang.
Yeah, the Borg, at least they got some hive mind going. He's just by himself.
Oh, dang.
More like
alone in a room.
More like anus pucker turd.
Precisely. Precisely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So
Zuckerberg's more like control.
to reiterate
Good job.
what
Yeah.
Dan conveyed,
I like that.
we had feedback at itsgotstartrek.com, standard email format for a standard email address.
Leave off the last S for
www.itsgotstartrek.com.
savings.
itsgotstartrek.com
Why does
for
it
the
have extra
website.
B?
All sorts of cool stuff there. And then at It's Got Star Trek. Now, the funny thing is people listening to this shit, they already know this because they're listening to this shit.
I hope they know it. They don't.
And
they don't
all
have
this
to know.
information is on the website, and it's in the show description.
Interwebs.
You can find this
Dan
anywhere.
is playing with
If
the
you've
paper
listened to the
clip.
podcast so much already, that if you've gotten to this point, then you are.
This is usually the best part of the episode.
Then you
is
know.
us discussing how to contact us. It's probably the
So meta.
You should contact.
yeah. So you can contact us or not or whatever. Rate and
Leave a
review.
review.
I'm
Make
usually
first
I'm usually the
contact.
funniest.
Rate and
Make
review.
first contact.
Yep.
Rate and
Like and
review.
subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Or do whatever.
Like
oh yeah,
and
YouTube.
subscribe,
You can
please.
find us on YouTube too.
Ooh,
You can have a
yeah.
super smooth second contact.
At some point,
second
at some point, no promises,
Third
but at
contact,
some
too.
point, I think
Fourth.
Dan and I will play some.
maybe not a third.
We'll do some YouTube only videos where we'll play some Star Trek games and put that up on YouTube.
There you go.
If you're clamoring for YouTube content,
YouTube.
right now, what we've discovered is that if we put something on YouTube, we get a lot of views. Whether it's the main podcast or one of our highlight clips, get a lot of views of those. But we get even more views if we mention the term Rule 34 in the title, and
you
we
go.
literally get 1,000%
There you
more
go.
views.
Hell yeah.
The secret to like getting
Jesus.
viral.
I'm thinking
people.
we're
There
just
you
gonna-
go.
we should just-
Perverts.
I'm thinking we're just going to put Rule 34 in
Why don't
every
you go
title.
Yeah, I
outside,
think that's a good
people?
idea.
It's
From now
summertime.
on.
I think just do it.
Coronavirus.
I bet you the
Go
Rule
for a
34
walk or
people
something.
Corona.
they would search
People,
for Rule 34.
people are horny, dude.
They would
and
see it's
freaked
got
out.
Star Trek.
I understand
They
that.
would
are
know
horny
it's
and
not Rule
freaked out.
34, and they would still look.
wanna
They would
whack
still
off the
look just in
cartoon porn.
case, you know?
I
So,
don't get it, but
We'll figure it all out. But anyway,
happens.
that'll do it for us this week. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you
for-
guys.
Jimmy drove
Yeah.
all the way down
it
from
was
Philly
cool.
just to be here. Now he's got to get back on the road right now, basically, to
Yeah.
get back to
I'm
Philly.
gonna drive in the rain.
Yeah, so
It's cool when Jimmy comes and it changes up the dynamic.
Oh,
a bit,
thank you for having me because I enjoyed this episode and it was cool because my little one got to watch it with me and
Yeah, that's
she
cool.
she was laughing during it, which made it even better.
Yeah,
You get to watch all kinds of cool stuff with your dog.
Well, actually, this was actually the first thing that I really allowed her to watch, like a full episode. Like, I'll give her like little taste, and then she's like a crack addict. She's like, "I wanna more." So, like, I gave her the whole full, and when I paused it to move her from the kitchen, like to her seat, and we're eating, she was like, "Yeah, put that
yeah.
thing back on."
yeah.
So, no, it was enjoyable.
Well, my
Thank
kids
you
are
guys.
digging it
You got to
too.
show her the Dark Crystal next.
Okay.
Yeah, we watched The Labyrinth yesterday with the kids.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right.
But
so
thank you.
That'll be good night from Jimmy. Good night from Patrick. Who else wants to say good night?
I'm Dan.
I will say good night.
All right. That's Jesse saying good night over there.
Dan.
My name is Dan.
My name is Dan.
You got two Dans here.
How many
is
people
pretty
are?
cool.
My name is Dan. How many people we got up in this gulag?
Hi, my name is Dan.
I'm Dan.
We got like 10 people.
My name is Dan. I'm Moriarty.
I'm producer Dan in the back.
Hey guys,
I'm the one who pushes all the
Hey
buttons.
guys, my name's Dan. My name is Doodler Dan. I'm here to bring you the hits.
Yes, Dan.
I'm up.
Okay, the best part of what Dan just did is Dan is fully capable of doing a very good actual DJ impression, but because he's such a
actually been
comedic
on the
genius, he was like, I'm going to go the opposite direction. Okay.
You gotta surprise him.
So that's
This is my wine voice.
it for this week. Moist Vessel, Lower Decks, episode 4. Next week is episode 5,
Ascend,
and I
bitches.
do not know what the episode title is yet.
I forget what it's
By
called.
tomorrow, we'll know. By the time this episode goes out, we will know. So
Hey, Dan.
we will appear great on the description, but we will appear ignorant right now because we are ignorant of what the episode is going to be called next week. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We can guarantee you will enjoy next week's episode without a doubt. We've got all sorts of crazy, awesome plans for next week's episode. Just, I hope I'm not overpromising.
Are you
with
doing
this
sign
bullshit.
language, Jimmy?
Oh, I'm just doing the Vulcan. Like, I'm out, bitches.
Yes.
okay.
That's a cool new thing to do too. The sarcastic Vulcan.
Look at me, that sarcastic.
Live long and prosper, bitch.
All right, so we will. With that, live long and prosper, bitch. I think that's
That's about it.
all right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Admiral Vassery, welcome to the Cerritos.
Starfleet commends your bravery and ingenuity. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to work. Apparently, we've picked up a strange signal on our sensors.
Quite all right, Admiral. And what did your sensors show?
Well, nothing at first, but the long-range sensors revealed...
Whoa. I am sorry. Are you trying to say the word sensors? Because to me, you're saying sensors. What is that?
But that's how it's said. Sensors. Everyone knows that.
Sensors. Yes, that's right. It sounds right to me.
Me too. I say it like that.
What? No, you don't. This is nuts. Yo, she's making fun of you, dummy. She doesn't say sensors.
Well, of course I do.
Stop it.
Is this how your crew treats authority? When it's known I mispronounce things? Are you really making fun of me?
Admiral, no. I thought we came to an understanding.
Maybe you need to adjust your sensors.
Would you just stop?
I have never been shown such disrespect. Is she yawning?